All right, 60 seconds.
Everyone has a unique gift, and Mike, the creator of the 1NELife podcast, believes most people don't know how to use their gifts or what they are. Mike wants you to see things from a different perspective and be true to yourself. The 1NELife podcast unites the world through art, fashion, music, and film. It inspires, motivates, and creates positive energy, love, and compassion to all communities, and creates an equal playing field for all. On the 1NELife podcast, they cover topics like building relationships, overcoming adversity, habits of healthy people, and much, much more. We only have one life to live. Be yourself and live your truth. Add the 1NELife podcast to your playlist. That's the number 1NELife. Available on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, and your favorite podcast platform.
Speak professional. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the 1NELife podcast. I am Mike M.I.C. Reed, and we got Lewis, my man, my instructor from the Wellbeing Lab with us today, and we also got my classmate Tanya with us. How are you guys doing today?
Great.
I'm feeling good today.
Yeah.
You feeling great?
I'm feeling good.
Okay, who has the crickets going?
I have no.
Is that your phone? No? Okay.
My phone don't cricket.
Anyways, so what's going on? What's going on? How you doing, Lewis?
It's the ghost.
It's the ghost. Like I said, if you don't bother them, they won't bother us. Out of the whole almost 2 years I've been here, except for when Jen and Monique was here, they started making noise. And I was like, because you guys called them out. They don't bother me. They never bother me. So, are you scared of ghosts, spirits?
No, not at all.
Oh, great. So we're going to have a great time.
Yeah.
I think I was about to call you Monique again.
They keep pointing at me, Monique.
Monique. I think she is. She's a little nervous.
Of the ghosts?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Why?
Not a lot.
They're friendly.
Just a little bit.
The lady goes. She actually owned the hotel over there, the first building in Lancaster, across the street. It's like a museum now, but it used to be the hotel. She owned that building and she worked at this one because this building used to be like the sheriff department, city hall, the jail, everything. So she had something to do with this building too. But they said for some reason she likes hanging out here. But she's nice though. She's
Yeah,
like
I haven't
friendly
felt
spirit.
any really bad vibes
I don't think you
yet.
will.
So,
I don't think you will.
friendly ghosts.
Well, because I'm friendly. I'm a great guy. I got a great show. Anyways, let's talk about well-being. Lewis.
Let's.
I was like, stop talking about ghosts and start talking about well-being. So today was our last, not our last on-site, but we finished our curriculum today. I want to thank you, sir, because it really changed my life. I'm going to just jump into it and say that.
Ditto.
When I first started this course, even when I signed up for it, I had a whole different perspective of what I wanted to do with it and all that. Halfway through it, there was a shift. And it was a shift because of the things I was going through in my life. And I got through it because of the things that we learned. And I literally felt the shift. Like on my downward hill of getting through all that, I started feeling the shift. And I just had a different perspective of, wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great testimony to learning positive psychology. Well-being is not once and done. You know, like you came back. Our program is 6 months of curriculum, right? So halfway through that, you said you had your aha. Maybe for some people it's 3/4 of the way through, or for some people it might be right after it's over. Whenever the timing is, it's not after one experience of learning positive psychology, right? It's the kind of going to the gym, right? You don't go just once and expect to have the results. You have to keep going.
Right, and that's what I mean about I had the shift in my whole perspective of thinking, the whole perspective of, and I've told this story in class before that I've never put myself first or thought of myself first, but this course has taught me how to do that. So now I set boundaries on things. Now, over the last, I want to say month, I've said no more than I ever have to people that ask me to do things. I was like, no, I can't do it right now. Like, because I knew it wasn't healthy for me or it just wasn't serving me. Like I felt just a bad energy, so I was telling people no. Opposed to like just trying to be friendly and always helping. Like I finally set boundaries, just like, you know what, I can't do it. So I've turned a couple of friends down on certain projects.
For now, right? I mean,
Right.
it's not that you always will turn these people down, or
No, but
we should stop asking you to help us.
No,
It's just-
absolutely
yeah.
not. But I was, like my point is because I had to start looking at myself first and my wealth and my well-being first. Make sense? Like I really had, and I never done that before, but this has taught me to do that.
So I don't think I have shared with you just how much the curriculum and everything that we go through has really played a part in my everyday. And, you know, at work too, we had a workshop on consent, and I was really drawn to talking about boundaries. And I was like, you know, we should really talk about boundaries because that plays a major part in that. And everybody was like, yeah, you should. I haven't really heard a lot about boundaries. And, you know, the more that I talked about it, I was speaking to somebody, he's 45, and he's like, I don't even know what that is. I don't even, what is that? And so the more I really talk about these things, the more I've been realizing a lot of people just really don't know, just little things that we have learned and how impactful it can be. You know, a 45-year-old that's never heard of a boundary.
Yeah, I mean, we're not born knowing these things, of course. And what do we teach in schools? In many places, we're teaching people how to read, which is important, how to do math, how to understand science, but we could also help them understand some of the social science around well-being, which is what positive psychology is about. And you know, setting boundaries is just one of the topics of, you know, that was one of our 15 distance learning topics, right? But there's so many different facets of understanding our minds and how we think about how we think and how we can show up in the world in more empowered ways. And one way around boundaries is just to do the barometer test. I love the line, if it's not a hell's yes, make it a no. You know, if your intuition is not so yes on a request someone's asking of you, then maybe it's okay to say no, because your body is giving you that indicator that it's not right for you. It's not right for you right now for whatever reason. And it's okay to say no.
I love that.
No, it is. And like, even with the no's that I had to say, like, and we learned this in class on how to respond to people. So it's not really, oh, hell no, like, I don't want to do that. You know, it's giving them respect and, you know, giving them their grace and space, you know, but explaining like why it's not good for me at this moment. And the two people that I actually did that with, they understood. They was like, okay, we get it. And so the conversation was a great conversation. It wasn't an awkward conversation or, you know, anything weird.
Yeah. Let me help you understand
Yeah.
where I'm coming from.
Right,
Or
because these are people that I've known for like 20 plus years, and they know I always say yeah. So, I kind of felt like I had to give like an explanation, but they kind of knew where I was coming from, what I was going through. So they totally understood.
And I love how you touch the topic of, you know, this isn't really what's taught in schools. And that's something that I'm really working on. I have a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old, and I'm really trying to push that into schools, because it's like, does my daughter really need 5 ways to learn how to do that one math problem? You know, and it's like, this is the real stuff, that life skills that you're going to really carry with you, things that we really need to talk about that are super important, and focus on your confidence and your self-talk. And it's really powerful stuff. And I've also learned how to not say sorry as much and apologize for my, you know, saying no and just my choices. And I don't have to give you an explanation really, but if you want it, maybe I will. And, you know, it really has given me a lot more confidence in myself, because I feel like sometimes we don't know, or it's uncomfortable. And so, yeah.
It's okay, right, to feel discomfort even. And it's okay to express ourselves. In fact, when we don't, then we kind of stuff it and it becomes way more toxic.
Right.
I also think something really important in positive psychology well-being is learning how to cope with life's adversities. You know, that it doesn't take away the ebbs and flows of life, the storms, the sunny days. Life is about all of it, right? But how we show up to those moments with what coping strategies to get through the discomfort or get through the hard time, I think is something that we're not very much taught in schools always. It is changing in some places that are kind of moving more in the direction of social emotional learning. And this is slightly even different than that when it comes to personal well-being, relational well-being, and strategies around how we talk to each other, how we talk to ourselves, like you're saying, and just how do we show up to our lives in confident ways where we're able to navigate whatever's thrown at us.
Right, because it's not going to be easy. It's never going to be uncomfortable. It's not going to always be comfortable all the time. But like you said, it helps you to get to that. How do you navigate? How do I even get to the point where I can open up my mouth and what do I say? So a lot of people just don't do it. They don't deal with the situations, or they shut down, or they make the wrong choice because they don't even think of another option. There's another option possible, or I can do this, I can do that. So it really helps you, open your mind to being, brave enough to speak up for yourself and to do those things, because sometimes you just want to just check out or not deal with those uncomfortable moments. But yeah, I love one of the classes that really, really stuck with me was when we talked, and I wish it would have been talked about in the beginning, but I know there's a process and there's a reason why, but it was about emotions. And when you talked about the negative emotions, it's like, don't put those to the side. Those are there for a reason, and that's going to help you grow and, take those in. And that really changed the game for me.
Yeah, that idea that emotions are just data. They're not directives. So if you're feeling anger, what's the message in that for you? How can you think of anger maybe as your rights have been violated in some way and make some meaning of whatever's happening that's eliciting that anger response in your body?
Exactly.
Just with more intelligence, right? Emotional intelligence, to say, it's okay that I'm angry. My rights have been violated, and that makes sense to me because fill in the blank. My boss didn't get back to me on time, or my friend didn't respond even to my request. Of course you'd be angry at that, right? And so if it's just a directive, if it's just data, it's not telling you to necessarily do something, then you can metabolize that emotion, right? You could feel it, let it go through you. And emotions don't stay in our bodies that long, except when we're repeating a story that's not helpful to our moving on from whatever emotions, because all emotions are fleeting. So if you feel joy, it's going to go away. If you feel sadness, it's going to go away.
So, okay, two things. One, I learned that in therapy. My therapist taught me years ago that all emotions are healthy emotions. Even anger is a healthy emotion. He said when you add aggression to it is when it's not healthy. So he always taught me to no, embrace being angry. He said if you're mad at somebody, you should be able to say, you know what, I'm angry because of what you said. It made me feel this way, right? Don't add aggression to it. Be able to have that conversation, and they should be able to respect that and say whatever they want to say. But it's okay. I should be able to tell you that, hey, I didn't like what you said. It made me angry, right? But on the second point, what you just mentioned, emotions don't stay with us. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I heard this somewhere else. I think it was Mel Robbins who told a story, and she said that emotions do stay with you. They never go away. So she was making an example like you have to treat emotions like characters. So when anger comes up, it's up to you in your story how much time you're going to give anger. But they're always with us. They never really go away.
Well, emotions that are neurotransmitters, like the neurobiological part of feeling anything, dissipates. Like those things literally, move through your body in about 60 seconds.
Okay.
A feeling. That is the neurotransmitter, the connection, the connectivity that goes through your body that causes the feeling. Those are fleeting.
Okay.
But you could carry anger with you longer than that feeling.
Right, okay.
Right? And you do carry anger or any emotion based on your beliefs, your thoughts that you're thinking, the story that you're making up about whatever's going on, your perception. And so that's where we have power, right? We don't, just because we have the thought doesn't mean that we have to believe it.
Right.
And so a lot of what we do in positive psychology, especially when it comes to some of these cognitive behavioral tools that your therapist might use, is about taking your thoughts to court, we call it, and just being curious about your thoughts and what are the evidence to suggest that's true. Because when we're angry at someone, we might believe and also think our rights have been violated, but we also might think that they don't like us, or that our relationship is irreparable. And of course, if we think things like that, we're going to be maybe avoidant of that person, or avoidant of trying to repair the relationship. And so that's where we also have some power and choice in how we want to show up to the people around us. And so we're all human, just trying to do this thing called life. And we all have moments of being our better selves and moments of being our not so great selves. And, all relationships, we say, are generative, meaning all relationships are ultimately wanting to grow. Just like humans, we're destined for growth in this lifetime. We literally get bigger. We grow towards the sun. And relationships are like that too. So when you believe that all relationships are generative, then even in the struggle, you want to think to yourself, what wants to happen here?
Right.
If we weren't having this struggle, what would we have instead? And there's some hope in that idea.
Yeah, I agree when you say that the feelings don't stay with us, because it's like, let's say somebody, is feeling really great. So they're like, okay, something went amazing today, so I'm not going to drink. Like, for example, an addict, or, they're like, okay, so life is really good. But let's say you lose your job or something. So, and then that thing that happened that day isn't really here anymore. It's like that feeling, it was really, really intense at that time. But like you said, it kind of goes away after a while. So it doesn't really 100% stay with us. And you forget that gratefulness, the happiness, that joy. And so you kind of have to rebuild, so every day it's like a work in progress. And it takes work, and it's a process, and to build that back up, or to that's why I like the little jolts of joy, because we need that every day. It's not like you're not going to have that great situation happen to you every single day. You can't expect that, so it's like, how do we get to that?
Well, when I was just speaking at at your youth, and I told the youth there at your place about that, right? About the playbook. So I've always had a playbook, and I've been promoting my playbook for a couple of years now, even before your class. And I know we call our binder a playbook, right? But I've always told people to, and I think this is why I'm able to get through my ups and downs, even though I still go through it. Like, I embrace it, even though like I'm sad in the moment or depressed or whatnot. I know I'm gonna get through it, because I know I have my playbook. And in my playbook, I tell people to like write at least 10 things down, like a jolt of joy, right? That you love to do, that puts you in a great space, whether it's eating a chocolate chip cookie, or going for a walk, exercising, reading a book, whatever it is, meditating, and practice those things. Take one thing every day and practice it for at least 10 minutes a day. And I did this for a whole year. And I think that's why when I go through things, I know how to like, okay, I'm going to go through my list, right? And right now I have like maybe 20 some things on my list. But the last thing is sleep. I know if I can go through my list and nothing's working, because that happens sometimes. I will just, and if I maybe like 5-6 hours, I'll say, you know what? Today is just not working. Tomorrow's be better. So I'm just going to shut today down, go to sleep, wake up tomorrow, and I know it's going to be better than today.
I'm going to tell you, a lot of the things on my list sometimes just don't cut it. And
But they don't. That's why I just said. Yeah.
And so my thing lately, which has been really working for me with one of my aha moments, is, okay, something happened and it's not the greatest week or a couple days. And my thing has been, okay, but if I don't take that challenge head on and really face it, then I'm going to miss out on learning from that opportunity and growing. And if I, I'm looking forward, a week from today or whatnot, or maybe a month or a year, and I'm going to say, I didn't really handle that the best way that I could. Like, I really didn't give it my all. And so that's when I'm really like, it's almost like an excitement, like a challenge. And I'm like, okay, this is like a situation for me to be better, to grow. And so what can I do? Like, obviously I'm going through a struggle or a challenge because I don't know how to navigate that yet. So, I'm in this situation, and it's kind of like a blessing in disguise, I guess. It just really, it's your mindset. It's the way that you look at it. And so, those tools do come into play, and it's like, what can I do? And I really do look at it as a growing experience, and how can I become better in this? And that's really been like pulling me through. So
the awareness, the belief that we're always where we need to be when we're there, right? That idea that even in the muck, there's opportunities for me to learn and grow from this. And certainly life can be messy. But on the other side of it, life could also be really magical.
Right.
And so when you remember that kind of the both and of it, like you do remember that we do always fluctuate and have choice with how we want to see things. And if we want to see it more from that growth orientation, that growth mindset, right? Like that, this is an opportunity for me to learn and grow something. Okay, deep breath, right? Like calm the nervous system, regain access to my brain and my ability to make better decisions for myself. And you're right, a lot of those decisions, especially in the messiness of moments, do relate to those things that you have on your list, right? Like, are you taking your walk? Are you getting good sleep? Are you eating the right foods? Are you, we call those your keystone habits, exercise included in that, because without those things being in place, when you're not exercising, when you're not sleeping well, when you're not eating the right things, everything else is going to be off in your life. So those are foundations to our well-being. And then with those in place, of course, physical safety, psychological safety, emotional safety, to be vulnerable, to express ourselves, to talk about our struggles, because, we live in a society where there's a lot of shame around that, still in a lot of places where people withhold their truth and their struggles, right? So to have space to make it all okay, right? And it is all okay because it is, right? And we're here. So how are we going to navigate? How are we going to move forward in a way that feels like
right? Well,
hopeful?
I mean, I think that's the question that I was going to ask you next is, and I was talking to Jen and Monique about this when they was on the show a couple of weeks ago. Like when you're when something happens and you're in, like, the storm is just fresh, everything is so cloudy. Right. And even though we know certain things, like, matter of fact, I was talking to Brenda about this on last week's show, because she was asking me about a situation that I had. And she was like, now that you're out of the situation, you would do things differently. And I was like, yeah, of course, because now I'm thinking clearly, like I know what to do. But when you're in the middle of that storm, sometimes things are so cloudy, like you just don't think of the rational thing or to think of or to do, even though we know, like I know what to do. But when you're in the middle of it, like the deepest middle of it, like you just can't see anything.
Well, it makes sense when you kind of remember that we've evolved. Our evolutionary build comes from very stressful conditions that our ancestors had. Trying to find food, trying to find shelter, trying to find safety. And, that's still a part of our wiring, so that when we are stressed, it may not be a big stress, like I don't know where I'm going to get my next meal, but it could be more acute stress around, a problem with me and my sister and our relational fabric, or something around work, which isn't necessarily life or death unless you're a surgeon or, in that kind of, when it's little things but still quite stressful, it does kind of evoke the same brain that our ancestors had, that made it crucial to run fast, to hide quick, or to do the things that were going to lead to our survival, right? And so while most of us are not in those hugely stressful situations, there are a lot of people in our world that are, but not us around this table right now. And when we remember that we have that same kind of wiring to shut down this prefrontal cortex that, that does send more blood to my limbs to run, right? That it makes sense then that our brains would be fuzzy in stressful moments because that's how our brains work. It's quite normal, right?
No, right. No, you're right. And I only brought it up because I talked to, and I even brought that up to the kids about our prefrontal cortex, because that's what our memories are, our habit loops and everything, right? So we got to replace those with new habits, right? New tiny habits, and that's why I suggested to them to have a playbook and to have these 10 things where, even though when you're in the middle of something, you can at least go to these things. And it's a habit now that's why I say if you practice it every day for 10 minutes, now it's a habit. Okay, well, let me go for a walk. Let me read this book. Let me throw on a music, your favorite song, whatever, because that at least puts you in a better space opposed to this cloudiness space that you can't think, right? So these 10 playlist objects or things put you in a better space to where you can think clearly, and now you can think of your next step to move forward.
Well, let me ask you though.
Yes,
if
ma'am.
you go through a similar situation, do you think you'll be able to handle it better, differently in the future?
Yes, 100%.
So then it's, a goal. That's you achieved it.
Yeah.
Because there's always going to be situations, and I definitely look at my life like that. It's like, okay, it was difficult, but it's getting a little easier to navigate, and we're learning these tools and we're implementing them in our daily lives, and it makes such a difference. Like, you talked about fitness and sleep, and I slept a lot last night, and I woke up and I was like, I feel like a different person. Or when you start working out and you've been at the gym all week, you literally feel like a different person. So it is really important to have that foundation. One does not work that well without the other.
I mean, yes, I'm gonna disagree with you on the sleep part. That's because I've been in production for like 35 years. Sleep for me, like honestly, I can't go more than 4 hours of sleep, and I'll just automatically wake up. That's why I can't even like go to sleep early, like at 8, 9 o'clock. I'll be up at 1, 2 o'clock, guaranteed. And then it's hard for me to go back to sleep.
Well, but that's healthy sleep for you. But for other people that might need their regular sleep hours, like maybe for you it's 4 or 6 is normal, but for somebody else that really needs it is not getting it.
No, but I also know that it's not healthy for me, to be honest with you. I know that because sometimes I know I'm way stressed out and I know it's a lack of sleep. But just Monday through Friday, that's just how my body operates because it's been doing it for so long.
Yeah, but our bodies are adaptable.
They are.
I feel like that's a big old story you're telling yourself about being in production, giving yourself some excuse around why you don't need sleep. Yeah, because most humans, 90% of humans need 8 hours of sleep a night.
I've also heard that.
Okay, but if you
some people need less.
Yeah.
But 4 is too few. So if you are struggling to get more than 4 hours of sleep, then that means you need better sleep hygiene, which means things like taking magnesium before you go to bed, for example, a supplement, which is shown to help you sleep better.
I know what you mean.
To avoid caffeine in your life if you're only getting 4 hours of sleep. Like I know people who drink coffee at like 7 o'clock at night who are like, oh yeah, this is I'm fine. I could sleep. No, well, it's still caffeine. It's still impacting your nervous system, and you're still not going to get as good quality of sleep.
It's funny because sometimes I drink coffee at night.
Yeah, don't.
There you go.
No, because and this is not an excuse. It's just us creative people. Like I'm creative when it comes to artwork and just like music or editing, whatever, at night. And sometimes late at night, because I have a home studio, I'll go in there and I'll put on like the blue lights or whatever and have a vibe, and I'll just be drinking coffee and I'll just be working.
Can't sleep.
But creative people, you have to do that when the mood strikes.
Yeah, that's me
like
too.
I can't say, okay, you know what, I'm gonna do this tomorrow, because then you might lose it, and I've been there before. You'd never get that thought back. Yeah. So you literally gotta, like, when it hits you, get up, go do it.
Yeah, we all have sleep chronotypes. Yeah. There's night owls,
That's me
I'm
too.
not. I'm an early bird, so I'm in bed early. But I probably also do miss some moments where creativity could probably strike me late in the evening. So I admire what you're saying, and I also,
But it's not every night though,
yeah.
because I'm up at 5 o'clock every morning regardless. But when that creativity hits me at night, yeah, I will stay up till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes I'm even out, and people are like, "Why are you out?" Because they know my schedule, and I'll be like, "Well, I got to get up at 5 in the morning," but I'm still out because I know it's part of my business. Like I still got to do the social thing. I still got to go some places to, say hi to people. Yeah, I mean, it's all part of my bigger plan. I enjoy it, but it's,
Well,
it's
here's the thing in positive psychology I really like too, which is it comes from one of my mentor teachers who says that everything always depends.
Yeah.
So some nights you're going to be out late, and other nights maybe you could be in bed early, right? Like it's so long as it's not like this chronic thing where you're not getting sleep, because some people even in our classes, had admitted to not really sleeping, and that's really of great concern, especially when it's so foundational to all the other parts of your well-being.
I think like on the weekends I sleep in. Even if my body automatically wake up like around 5, whatever, I'll lay there. I may read a few pages in a book, and that'll put me right back to sleep. But I will go back to sleep. But so on the weekends, I think I do.
So that's a good point too, because you can catch up on your sleep debt.
Yeah.
Your sleep debt you can repay, and people who are chronically under-rested, the research shows you could pay that sleep debt.
Right.
In about 2 weeks
I do.
of getting better sleep.
So no, I do that.
Great.
And there's some, like, matter of fact, last night I was supposed to go to a birthday party, and I had to be up at 5 this morning, but I ended up I was waiting for my friend to call, and they didn't call. It was like 11 o'clock. And my other friend, he was like, "Aren't you supposed to be going?" And I was like, "Dude, it's 11 o'clock. I got to get up at 5 o'clock. I said, "I ain't going at this point." But normally I would have went. But I really thought about it because I knew we had class today. I knew we had the party afterwards, and I knew we was doing this show at this time. So I was like, man, that's going to be a long day. I said, no, I'm not going out.
Good choice, Mike.
Yeah.
Right. No, I did. So I made an
to your
adult
body.
choice. I made an adult choice.
Yeah.
And I went to sleep.
And look ahead.
Boundaries.
That's a great, psychological trick too, is to think, if I do this now, how will it make me feel then?
Right.
And human beings, we want immediate gratification. It's part of our challenge in the world, is to kind
Especially
of have
now.
the self-regulation to be able to pause and have space between a stimulus and a response. Your response being, I'm going to go to bed now, right? Because you're thinking ahead and thinking, if I go out now and get home at 4 o'clock in the morning,
it's gonna be
1
all
hour
bad.
of sleep is not gonna suit me well.
No, because my friends, those friends that I was going out with last night, they don't have to get up early in the morning. They work in the afternoon, so they party. They don't leave their house till 10, 11 o'clock. So it's like, damn, if I leave now, dude, I'm not gonna get home till like 2, 3 o'clock. It's gonna be all bad tomorrow. So I was like, yeah.
Thank you. We were with you all day.
Yeah,
Your mood was good.
Thank you. Well, good. Thank you.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people don't really take that into consideration. Like, somebody asks you a question and they expect like an answer right now, like the second, tell me, and it's like sometimes you need to take a moment to really process and think, and we don't talk about that enough. And like you said, thinking about the future and like, how is this going to affect me? And like I talked about earlier, that when I'm thinking about a situation or in the morning or with a struggle, and how is it going to affect me in a week or a day or a month or a year, and really process everything that comes into it, because you can't just answer right on the spot sometimes.
Well, we don't talk enough about it, but that's kind of the whole intention of the Antelope Valley Wellbeing Coalition work, right? Is to kind of bring more awareness in this valley to these choices we have, the opportunities to build this kind of mental muscle around our resilience, our confidence, our abilities to be our best selves in the world, right? So I think we don't talk enough about it, and we are wanting to talk more about it, right? Thank you for hosting this podcast, bringing these conversations here. I'm so excited by the impact projects that are going to come in the next couple of months from our group, our class. Just amazing things going on, being born around bringing this conversation to life.
And I've talked to a couple people. I'm like, yeah, we should do this too. And they're like, oh, you want to do more than one project? I'm like, no, on the side later, after our project. Oh yeah, I'm totally into
You
it.
already are doing more than one project.
Oh my gosh, I'm doing like 3. And the more I talk to somebody else, I'm like, yeah, let's do that too.
Hey, you know what, Lewis? Like, I was doing a project with her first.
Oh my God.
She turned me down to go work with everybody else.
No.
Is that the story you're telling yourself, Mike?
I'm just saying. You was working on a project with me first.
No, we were trying to figure out the logistics and stuff. And I feel like, we talked about what is more needed right now. And I feel like we do have the books already in English. So it would be helpful to have something in Spanish right now. So in order to get that, yeah, we do have to translate it. And so he wanted us to go straight to do an audiobook in English.
But you know why? I'm going to tell you why. This is why I really decided to do a podcast out here. You got to remember that AV is a commuter city. Everybody out here commutes. So what do they do on that freeway? They listen to podcasts. They don't listen to the radio no more. They listen to podcasts and audiobooks.
Yeah, I'm not saying
That's
no and
huge.
it's not needed,
That's
but we
huge
don't
out
have
here.
anything in Spanish
No,
at
no.
all.
But what I'm saying, you could have did. Well, we could have did. I mean, I think, and we're still going to do it.
We're
'cause
gonna
I still
do it.
want to do
See,
the audio. I
That's
still
like my
want to do.
sixth project.
Yeah, we're still going to
Well,
do
the
it.
studio's here. It's ready for
Exactly.
an audiobook. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Let's tell people what you're talking about. Your one of your projects is translating the Wellbeing Blueprint book by Michelle McQuaid and Peggy Kern.
Yes.
Yeah,
into
it's such a good
Spanish.
book.
Yeah.
It is,
It's
I feel like,
accessible, right?
yeah. And I feel like the chapters aren't even that long. And I, literally couldn't put it down. I was like, man, I don't want to stop reading it. It's so good. And I know Mike has read it twice already.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I read it the first time right after the first CAP class because Diana was on the show and she gave me her book. So even before I took this class, I already had read the book. And I was like, wow, this is an amazing book. So when I knew I was going to get it once I had the class, but I read it again, yeah.
Yeah, and I've talked to several people and we're like, we should try to maybe get copies. I don't even know. Can we purchase extra copies?
Amazon,
Yeah. And, just in the meantime, because I'm like, there's only so many projects I can do right now.
Well, we're going to translate into Spanish.
Yeah.
There's a couple of projects actually that are about helping Spanish-speaking people in Antelope Valley understand well-being science, positive psychology. So I'm super excited that is part of like the thread that's coming through the second cohort of CAP.
Yes, we're going to do a cafe,
Yeah.
which is one of our workshops that I'm one of my projects.
20 of us.
So, yeah.
For immigrants.
It started off like that, and right now we're just like all Latinos. So yeah, Latino based. We're gonna do the slideshow, and it's gonna be in English and Spanish. So, but we're gonna be trying to have those tools and do the whole thing in Spanish for those families.
I like the cafe one. I think that's going to go off really well.
Cafe y pan dulce.
Yeah. I like that. I'll get it there. But before I talk about my thing, my impact project, I want to ask you real quick because you've been in this industry for
15 years.
15 years. Okay. And so last year was the first CAP class.
Here in Antelope Valley.
In the Antelope Valley, yes. And we're the second ones. But out here in the Antelope Valley, what is your opinion on from the first class to the second class and the growth? Like, because I know you measure everything. Like, where do you see it going? Because they just got approved for a third one, which I'm so happy about. And I've already been telling like a few people, like, hey, you need to go take this class. Like, seriously. But have you seen? Obviously, there is a growth, right? But what have you seen, and what do you think we need more of out here, as far as well-being?
Well, we're talking about the Certificate of Applied Positive Psychology CAP program. We've had one cohort finish in 2022. We have the second cohort finishing now at the end of 2023. We'll have the third cohort of participants finish at the end of 2024. We have then, about 100 people or a little more than 100 people speaking a similar language when it comes to well-being, right? So speaking the same language is so important to our lives, everything about our lives, that, a well-being language, having that literacy that's common will help us advance the work of well-being in Antelope Valley.
Right.
And by that, I what I see as what we need to do is really impact some of the anchor institutions in the Valley where people are working and living their lives, some of the aerospace institutions, the schools, certainly, the medical centers and the healthcare centers. We need to get into those places a little bit more where people are working and help with some workplace well-being programs so that where people live and work, they can be well, right? So that it's not just what we're doing in our personal lives when we're not in those places where we're working or going to school for that matter. So that's what we need to try to do a little bit more of next. Bring some of those change leaders and change champions from those institutions into the CAP class so that they could pick up the language, they could be part of our coalition, and they could be the change agents within those organizations that are facilitating some learning for others, policy change certainly around well-being, and all of that's done from within organizations. It's not done onto them.
Yeah. And I feel like, we really need to talk about that more, is how to implementing it into the workspace, because we're there so much. And also, this is one of my other projects, but I was doing this project before the class, but now I feel like this class has really given me so many more tools, and I've been talking to a lot of the parents about creating a curriculum around this for kids and doing like a charter school and focus on well-being. So I'm super excited, and I've been researching a lot. So
Wow.
It's one of my passions.
I'll be on your board.
Yay.
Yes.
I think that's a great idea, right?
I was talking to Mike about it.
Grounded in
That's a great idea.
principles of well-being.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a community school, right, for those families.
Exactly.
Certainly for the students, for the teachers, their families, right? It could really be. And I think, schools that are providing all of the resources are wraparound, right? So the mental health services are in the school.
Yeah, and there's
right?
so
that
many.
you don't have to find that out there, but it's part of how we do things in here.
Yeah, because right now, I'm a parent ambassador. I'm on the PTA board. I'm on the school council. So, I go to all these things, but every time I go to a meeting, it's like, oh yeah, it's another event. It's here. It's not at the schools, and I'm trying to get them to do like PTA events, but it is always like some 3 months or once every 2 months. And I feel like it's really important to do this daily. And also there's a lot of teachers that are just not happy with their job and what's going on, and
Hard to be a teacher.
Exactly. So I feel like when we're doing this and we're teaching this, it's going to really make a huge difference.
And when you started saying I had my aha halfway through our class, right? Or yours, wasn't at one event that you have that aha. So it's great to have a mental health fair. It's great to bring awareness and bring light and bring resources, but it's also another thing to train people up, right? To help people build their mental muscle.
A daily thing.
Practice.
Yeah, I feel like I've never stopped having my aha moments every single class, and every day we're there. There's always something new, and always those learning moments that have just been great. So highly, highly recommend. Better than therapy.
But not in place of.
I know, but
but not in place of.
Yeah, I know, but if it's better, no.
So I want to talk about my impact project now, because I want to reveal something. So my impact project is the Truth Booth. So the Truth Booth offers a safe and confidential space to share your deepest secrets and burdens without revealing your identity. We just, Monique, Jen, and myself, we came up with this idea because we just feel so many people are holding so much in it's heavy stuff that, they don't have an outlet to talk to someone or to release it. So we figured, and we saw that somebody did something similar to this before, but we saw that it worked. So we were bringing it out here to the AV, and we're trying it. And we did a mock version of our class yesterday, and some people dropped in their secrets, and so I kind of want to reveal them now. And they're all anonymous, so I don't know who wrote what, but definitely want to share some of them right now, and let's talk about them.
All right, juicy.
I know you weren't supposed to be a part now.
In the truth booth.
Yes. So. Grab these.
Gonna have to edit that sound out.
Oh, it's not gonna. It's okay. That's okay. It's not gonna pick that up. Trust me. I'm a professional. This machine actually is actually editing as we do this.
Fancy.
I don't know.
I like the colors
The what?
on the machine.
Oh, and you know what's funny? Like when because I was actually in the office studio down the hall when I first got to this building, and I had it on this side, and my guest was always right here, and everybody would come and just be pressing. They're like, "Oh, I like your buttons, like colors." That's why I got away over here now. Like, don't touch my buttons. No, everybody really did. Like during the show, they were just like, "What this do?" Because it's so colorful. All right. So, anyways, okay. So I'm gonna share all of these, and I guess you just let me know which ones you want to talk about.
Yeah, these are Antelope Valley residents, and they're anonymous truths.
Truths, yes. So the first one is I struggle with aging parents.
That was mine.
Well, you didn't have to say that, Lewis.
That's
you
my
did.
truth I put in
But-
the booth.
But you, I remember you saying it in the class when we talked about something similar to this. I remember you saying that, yeah.
Isn't it like part of the human condition, right?
Yeah.
Like the struggle as your parents age and you're
a lot.
aging and, midlife, and you see your parents towards the end of their lives.
Right.
And yeah, it's just, it's something we can all relate to in some ways. Maybe not everyone, but.
Right. I mean, I can't relate to that because I didn't grow up with my parents. So I mean, but I guess I can relate to that when it comes to like my grandparents, because my grandmother raised me. So
Yeah, I took care of my grandma when she got sick right before she passed away. So it was a lot of responsibility. But one thing that I could maybe, say is that I wish I would have done differently was had more fun with her. I feel like I was so worried because she was sick. And so I was always like, she used to say that I was like her mom, because I'd be like, did you do your breathing exercises? Did you take all your medicine? Did you do everything the doctor said? And so I feel like in those times she was really like stressed, and I feel like I wish I would have done more fun things with her and really enjoyed those moments and not worried so much. Yeah. So just have fun with them. And
Thanks.
Yeah.
So this next one is being scared of failing with the goals I am aiming for / being in a long-term relationship. I think, go ahead.
I'm just curious, man, woman, age?
Female, 30 to 39.
Okay. What were you going to say?
Being in a long-term relationship, because I've experienced this recently. Not experienced it for myself, because I love being in a relationship. I love being in long-term relationships. But as far as a couple people I've dated recently, I should say, their fear of being in a long-term relationship it comes from their past relationships. And it's something that I've been wanting to talk about. Is like, and I see this in some of my friends too, that I know a few women nowadays, and it's not to bash women, but some women have been in such a toxic relationship that they bring that fear into new relationships. But at the same time, they can be blocking a blessing that I know most of them are.
Well, as a woman.
Well, I mean, honestly, because
I mean, I think
Men too.
okay, yeah, it's
Right?
not gender related, right? It's not gender. It's not gender. It's not gender related, right? I'm just speaking from my experience. Like the females that I know and in the past relationships I had, is that they keep bringing that past trauma. And I get it. Past trauma is past trauma. Like, I get it. It goes with you. But I do also know, I've been in long-term relationships that, so I do know how a relationship works. I just don't think you should bring any type of that toxicity into this new relationship. Like, it's not fair.
Easier said than done, but yeah, I think there could be so many different reasons why. It doesn't have to be trauma. It could just be they just haven't been having a lot of them time. Who knows? They could have been a young mom, maybe single mom. Maybe they just don't have a lot of time for themselves. So they're like, what's that going to look like? And it is, you do have to take a pause sometimes and think, what are the things that are important to me and how is it going to look, and really process those things. And sometimes I feel like we're so busy that we don't take the time to really slow down and think about it and play it out. But it's a trial and error. Nothing's going to be perfect. And just because you're like, okay, yeah, I'm ready to be committed in a long-term relationship, who knows who's going to, who you're going to date. I'll say again, like, just kind of have fun with it. Don't have such high expectations, but also know what you want, and like set those boundaries. Like, okay, like it is kind of like an interview, I feel like. Another thing that I'll say from my personal experiences is like, you sometimes go into a relationship and you think they're like, okay, I like these things, but they're working on the other things. So maybe they'll change, or maybe they'll be for me, or, and it's like, no, you have to accept that person and how they are.
And you do. And I agree with that. You should accept everybody for who they are. And I know I do that a lot. But one of the things that I learned in therapy, because my last wife, I actually went to couples therapy, and like he did this an experiment with us. He told us to face each other, right? And while we was facing each other, he said, that's how you guys are bringing your past relationships or traumas or whatever into the relationship. He said, now put your back towards each other. And we did that. And he said, now that's how you're supposed to deal with it. You're not supposed to deal with it when you're facing each other. You do it with your backs, because he said that's your personal stuff and that's your personal stuff. You don't bring it into the relationship. You handle it separately. And that's what I learned in therapy. So that's why I say that you're not supposed to bring it into it. Not saying you're going to get over it or you're over your past, whatever you say, but you're not supposed to bring it into your new relationship. You're supposed to handle it. Yeah. It's like when someone's telling you, like if we're in a relationship, I'm not responsible for your happiness. Like you have to find happiness. I can add value to you, add value to your happiness, but I'm not responsible for your happiness.
Yeah, if you're going to do couples counseling, I think it's really important to do individual counseling too.
Right. Oh, absolutely. No, and we did. Like I had my therapist and I did my own sessions, but yeah,
because there's always don't forget about your own stuff.
But what she's saying on her truth is not any of this. What she's saying is that she's afraid that she's not going to. She's not going to meet her goals.
Yeah, she's scared of failing with the goals I am aiming for.
And that goal of meeting a partner and having love or a relationship, right? And so I think it's in this fear of not reaching our goals, I think that's such a common fear that we could have, right? And we're not effective in our lives, right? Like that fear comes from that belief that we're not going to be effective. But I find it really interesting. Some of the research shows that we don't set our goals high enough, that we're not reaching far enough in some of our life goals. That always reminds me, like, there's more that I can be striving for, that like, and I can get to where that I aim to go. It may not be the perfect part of my vision, but I could make progress towards that.
I think that comes from, and I could be wrong, but this is what I believe, because I said this on my last show, is that you're supposed to have big goals, right? But when it comes to your actionable steps, they're supposed to be small baby steps. Like, don't have these big old steps, right? Because you have a big old goal, right? Yeah. And I think that's where people get discouraged. They have these big old steps, right? And then they get discouraged because they're not meeting those smaller Microsoft goals.
A lot of them don't know what the next steps are,
exactly.
Right? Yeah, so you have to break them down.
You got to break them down to bite-sized
It's
steps.
like something doesn't become long-term right away. You got to kind of date around and...
Say date around?
Date around, yeah. We're talking about the long term
I want to date around.
relation. Oh,
I just want one girl. Can I just have one girl? I'm simple. Next one. All right. I don't know if this is a truth, so I'm not going to read it. This don't sound like a truth. I'm going to skip that one. This next one is from a female, 39. I'm struggling to balance it all. Be a mom, wife, friend, sister, daughter, businesswoman. Burnout is real.
yeah, I was going to mention that, sometimes I do set so many goals, and I actually have the opposite. I'm like, oh, maybe my goal's too big. Maybe that's too much. Like where, yeah. So it would like, what, what's something that we've learned in class you could say towards those goals, like setting those goals.
Well, in this one where burnout is like there's too much going on, right? Like burnout exists when you're doing the things that take your energy without doing the things that replenish your energy. Right. So you can have big goals that are in great alignment with your passion, your purpose, your harmonious passion, right? That it's like that you're fulfilling yourself and you're getting fulfilled in the process. Or you could have a different experience around striving for goals where maybe they're not concordant to what you really want, those goals. Maybe they're what you think people want of you or what you should be doing as a mother, wife, daughter, etc. It's not really what you want to be doing.
Right.
In which case that path of pursuing goals is going to lead to burnout, right? Because they're not what you're really wanting. They're not in alignment with really your values. They're not, we call them concordant goals. They're not, they're not yours. They're somebody else's.
Well,
Yeah, it's hard when you're a mom too, because we're always thinking about our kids' goals too, you know? So it's like their goals, their happiness becomes our, thing. So burnout is hard, and it happens a lot, I feel like, to a lot of moms, and we're always like trying to juggle it all. But like you said, we really do have to take that time, and like you need a day, you need to take that day. You need that sleep. You need that nap. You need whatever you need. Like, listen to your body and take that time.
Where you can, right? Like, some people are going from job to try to bring food to their family. Like, in which case, saying, take a day to rest is not possible for some people, right, in their lives.
right. So, with this one, I talked about this one last week as well, and I'm only going to bring this up because she mentioned being a businesswoman. And I think, but it's kind of piggybacking off what you said, Louis, you do got to be honest with yourself and what you really want, what your goals really are. Because people really be trying to, and I'm only speaking to business people right now, not people with regular jobs or whatever, business people. When you really want to run a successful business, they really try to search for that work-life balance. And that's what she mentioned right here, trying to balance it all. And you can ask, we talked about this, there's no such thing as a work-life balance when you're trying to run a business. Something is going to, you got to sacrifice something. And that's where you got to be honest with yourself. Like, what do you want? What are you going to really sacrifice? Because running a business, there's no balance there. You're going to sacrifice something, and so you have to be honest with yourself and be truthful about where you want your business, what your goals are, and what are you going to sacrifice to get that.
Exactly, and assess, like, is that sacrifice
worth it? Right, and you got to discuss it with your family. Like, this can't just be your decision, because she said mom, wife, friend, sister, daughter, that she has to discuss that with them, and they all have to be honest. Like, this is what we want to do, right? Because it is hard, especially running a business and having all that. Like, wow, I can see it.
Yeah, I don't love the word balance. I like harmony better.
Harmony,
because it's more fluid, right? Like, some days, I'm gonna be really like on my business, but other days I have to like let that aside and do other things. Even when you're a business owner.
No, and you know what? And I don't mean to interrupt you, because me and Brenda did talk about that. When I say that, and when I say you have to sacrifice things, I don't mean like, never have date night with your husband or your kids. Like, no, you have to set a time for your family. So there's some days where you're just going to go hard because maybe the business is having a bad week or whatnot. So you got to go hard. But then you still have to make time for your family. You still got to go on your vacations, go on, family nights or whatever, and have that, harmony. You still have to have that.
Yeah. And you know, like you said too, some people that can't take that break and have to work those 2 jobs. And it's also like, take some time to reassess, like, you shouldn't have to, you know, do those 2 jobs. Like, what can you maybe do for a little bit of time to get to, you know, a better position, something else in the future. Like, don't be afraid to look for other options too. In the future, of course, it takes time and work and
I just have a lot of compassion for people who are, you know, just getting by.
Yeah.
You know, and where, yeah, that's a nice idea. And, you know, for some people, it's very much a privilege, right? That I can even have access to other jobs, you know, and other opportunities. And I realize we live here in America, and it's the land of the free, the home of the brave. And, like, you know, people can come here to pursue their dreams, and I'm with you on that. And I just want to put a little asterisk next to it, that there are some people that hear that and they're like, yeah, but that can never be for me. Right. And here's why. Here's my living conditions. Here's my family experience. Here's I'm, you know, caring for my aging parents and my kids, and, you know, it's just out of reach for some people.
Yeah, I just, you know, think that I wouldn't want to say, like, stop looking or accept.
Stay open.
Or
Stay open.
yes,
Stay
yes,
open,
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, keep, like, don't stop trying and looking. And if there isn't, maybe you know, maybe that's going to be something that you're really passionate about, and create that for somebody else, you know, for the next generation. Or what's the problem? Why is that you don't have those opportunities? You know,
systemic racism being one for some people.
Yeah.
Right?
So, like, what can we do? You know, about
that
injustice.
Yeah. Like,
yeah, there has to be something.
That.
Yeah. And not just think, I mean, it starts with one person, you know, it really does. And I know that there's a lot of people going through that too. And the more that we just open up and talk about it, I mean, I believe, I'm a big activist, so I believe in change. And that's just, you know, the way that I want to look at life, and not think like, unfortunately, that's just the way it's always going to be. You know, I want to believe we're going to move forward, or somebody can bring in something somewhere, even if it's something a little bit small, or something that we might not see, but maybe our kids will.
Mm-hmm. So this next one is from a female, 2029. Her truth is, I often take out my anger on my spouse because I don't have control of the situation. I am a hypocrite at times.
Aren't we all?
A lot of us are. Yeah, I was just gonna say. I mean, yeah. It's hard sometimes. We're like, you know, even in this class where you're like, yeah, let me teach you something about blah blah blah. But it's like, hey, you know, don't forget, like, I, you know, myself need to hear that. So it's like, I'll be telling somebody something, I'm like, I need to take my own advice, you know, or write that down.
But I think that's where, you know, good communication. I've learned that from my last relationship. Good communication comes into play. Like, and honesty. I use that word a lot. Like, we have to be honest with each other.
And apology, right? Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, husband.
Yeah.
You know,
can
I call a redo?
Yes.
Call a redo.
Just being, even if the other person said something too, just you apologize for your part and whatever you did, and hopefully that shows them, hey, you know, she apologized even though she, you know, I started it or something, and set that example. And, you know, I feel like with the hypocrisy, it's like, don't be afraid to make the situation better in the future, you know, because I feel like if we hold that in, like, I held into so many things for so long, and it really becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, and we think we can't go back. I can't go back. I can't apologize for something like 5 years ago, 10 years, or something I've been doing for so long. But you really, really can, and it takes time, and it might not feel perfect, you know, in the beginning, but after a while it does. It becomes easier and easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this next one is female, 45. I might quit my job for another opportunity that has presented itself and feel guilty about wanting to take it. I wouldn't be. It's opportunity.
That's her truth, Mike, not yours.
I know.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I get it. You know, I don't know the details of it, but yeah, I mean, I get it.
Guilt is one of those
Yeah.
emotions that come from a belief that I have caused harm, or I will cause harm,
Right.
or guilt comes from the belief that I am harmful, right? So when you have that belief in this situation around going to your current employer saying I'm taking another opportunity, we don't have to come with guilt in those moments. It's not harmful. Everything always changes, right? You're not expected to stay at the same job forever, right? Like other opportunities come, to your point about staying open to what the universe might have in flow for you or in store for you. I don't know. I feel like expressing ourselves to our employers in those moments can be filled with kindness and generosity and gratitude and hope and assurance, that I can help you fill this position and I can help you train the next person. And it doesn't have to be this,
I'm going to tell
hard
you.
end.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you though, like there are several people in my life right now that are afraid to quit their job and go for another one. And it could be so many things like, what if the grass isn't greener? What if I'm still going through the same things? What if, and it really is that, and I love how you spoke about openness and just being, it might not be perfect, but there's a reason why you want to leave, and don't be afraid of that and embrace that. And also you were talking about beliefs, and I love how you broke that down in class yesterday. Was like, what is a belief? It's just a reoccurring thought, something you think about a lot. It doesn't mean it's a fact. It doesn't mean it's true. You have no real science sometimes to support that belief.
Evidence, right?
Yeah.
Like, what's the evidence that you're causing harm by moving on to another opportunity, right? It's even if when you have a relationship with your boss, and I hope you do, right? Like, all relationships go through cycles and phases and seasons, and even in our class, there are people that work at the city now and they worked there 20 years ago, or they left and they come back. Life is a revolving door. Like, we should feel like we have ability to move in our life, and
But it
can
is
make a decision and decide it's not the right decision and go back to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
well, but it is that fear, because I actually had a friend that actually just went through this last month. She left a job because she had a better position opportunity, and the job she left was kind of toxic. Like, she didn't really like it, so she found a better opportunity. She left, but then they fired her 2 weeks later. So then she was out of a job. She couldn't go back to the other job. Like, if she would have just stayed there, even though it was a little toxic, at least she would have had a job. So she was out of a job. She just recently found another job, but
Yeah, but it's situations like that where it creates fear in other people because they're like, oh, that could happen, this could happen, and it's like, you really, obviously,
you don't know.
Make sure you have a fallback plan. Like, do you have enough money if something does happen, or are you able to do that? And then plan accordingly. Assess the situation, make sure you're able to handle that, just like a relationship. Hey, if I go into a relationship and I go through a breakup, am I going to be able to handle that breakup?
Right.
It's really important. It's a lot of responsibility.
But I also believe, like with Steve Harvey, he did that he did that speech about jump. Like, you have to take a leap of faith. You have to jump. Or if you don't, if you're always standing on the edge, how you gonna know if you're gonna soar and fly if you don't take that opportunity, that risk? We take risks every day when we walk outside our houses,
Get
right?
in the car.
So why not take that risk? It might not work out.
Yeah.
But what if it does?
Yeah, and embrace it
Yeah.
with.
I have a former teacher of mine who retired from teaching in one place and went and was going to do something else, and he was so nervous about making that transition. And I said, well, what if what you do next ends up being better than,
Amazing,
gives you more money than, what if it's better than you think it could be? And he came back a couple years later and he said, you said that one day, and lo and behold, here we are a couple years later, and it's better than it ever has been.
Aw, that's amazing.
But it's like that question, well, what if? What is the best possible scenario that could happen here?
Yeah, you spoke about it in class with I forget the exact thing that it's called, but it's like you're always going to look for the things that support
worst.
your, you know, if you're like, oh, today's going to be the worst day, you're going to look for little things that support that belief. So it's like,
Confirmation bias.
yes, yes. So it's like, you know, embrace the situation and own it too. Like, I made this decision and you know what, I did it, and now it is what it is. But yeah, it could be something amazing, something life-changing.
But it's like you said too. I mean, on the flip side of that, and I tell people this all the time when you make decisions, like, you have to be okay with your decision. Like, so if it don't work out, you have to be okay with it.
Exactly.
So you have to think about
Yeah.
that. Am I going to be okay with it? Like, you have to be okay with your decision, regardless of the outcome.
Yeah.
Like, it's your decision. You got to take accountability for it and be okay with it and move on.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're always where you need to be when you're there.
Exactly.
You know, so in all of our life moments and decisions, the good ones, the not so good ones, you know, surrendering to that is a very spiritual kind of.
It is. So like with my friend, like, so she didn't find a job for like 3 weeks and she was struggling, right? She was stressing out. So I ended up, you know, hooking her up with a job out here because the jobs that she was going for and that she had, they was all commuting. And she had told me months ago, she's like, yeah, I'm tired of commuting. I'm trying to find something, you know, closer and better. She don't want to commute no more. So guess what? Now she's at her dream job right here on the boulevard
see?
and she don't have to commute.
Yeah.
So everything does
It
work
worked-
out.
Yeah, it worked out.
It worked out for
Yeah,
her.
and just thinking like, oh, okay, I'm going to go for a job and it's going to be terrible. Okay, then you're going to get another one.
Right.
Or that doesn't work out, go for another. I mean, life is like that. You know, you could be going through 10, you know, not so good situations back to back or whatever, but you know, it is a process and it is our mindset, and there's that positive psychology.
Yes. So those was our truth. I'm excited for this impact project. I'm excited because I feel like our class. I want to thank our class for participating, and thank you for allowing us to do a mock model yesterday. But I'm excited to really put this out in the community and like really get some of those real good truths.
Yeah, no, I mean, and those are really good truths too, and they're our daily things that we're always thinking about, you know, and it is good to have that, the feedback and the experiences, and just have someone to talk about it. And obviously they had to write it down because maybe they haven't been able to express that, or they just didn't feel comfortable enough. So it is good.
I'm excited to see the quilt that gets made, you know, like my vision for your project, the Truth Booth, is that you take it to a school, for example, and you get 100 kids to put their truth in, and then you create a tapestry of everyone's truths. It creates a really nice way to start a conversation about how people are struggling in their lives and what the struggles are, and that it's okay to struggle, and oh, me too, and oh, I get that, and you don't really even have to do what we did here, which is like give advice around that. In fact, sometimes just expressing your truth is enough. I heard a great little tidbit yesterday. You'll like this as a parent, for young people who are upset with something, you know, to ask, do you want to be hugged? Do you want to be helped? Or do you just want to be heard right now? You know, and the choice of, you know, if you want help, I'll give you advice. I'll coach you. If you want to be heard, I'll listen. If you just want to be hugged, I'll give you a hug. But I think those choices around our life struggles.
You know, we're on the calendar of the school board meeting next month.
To bring the Truth Booth.
Yeah. Because we pitched them the Jen called and pitched the idea to them, and they said, yeah. They was like, do you guys want to come pitch it to the whole board? And she was like, yeah. So because they want to hear more about it. And we want to do this because we want to know like all the ins and out of, okay, so if we get all these truths from the kids, like what's our plan after? Like it just can't be, I got all these truths and that's it. Like we need a plan for after. Like what are we doing with this? So that's what that meeting is going to be about. So I'm excited for that.
I'm excited too for all of the projects. They're so amazing.
Yes. So what's next for you, Louis?
Well, it's Friday.
You about to go on vacation, right? Aren't you said like next month or something?
I'm not really vacation, but yeah, what's next? You know, just continuing to support this group through their impact projects in December. We'll graduate this group of CAP, and we're going to start the next one in April of next year. So those applications are going to open up from the city of Palmdale for the Certificate of Applied Positive Psychology class in January.
Okay.
So getting ready for the next group to come through. My life is filled with projects. I have different types of interesting projects that apply positive psychology in workplaces for like workplace culture or leadership development. One of my clients right now is with a lived care facility that specializes in dementia and cognitive decline as people age, and they're wanting to create a dementia positive culture, they're calling it, around what it means to age with cognitive impairment. So just unique and different. Another one of my clients is the Utah Department of Transportation on how well-being and quality of life is, of course, part of the outcomes of good transportation infrastructure, but also the parts of planning for projects in places like Lancaster or anywhere in America that are, that make planning decisions around how we build our communities. So well-being is, of course, an outcome of that, but also an antecedent. It comes for part of the plan. Right. Good planning happens when people are well, working together, stakeholder groups. And that's not always the case in our communities these days, where people are not well, and they're trying to come together to make decisions and do things for communities. So
yeah, I was talking about that with Marcos, how, I really feel like cities need to work together. Like, we're right next door, and it's something like I was a little bit surprised. I'm like, you would think they would try a little bit more to just, work more closely, but I know there's
a struggle with working together these days.
So, I know you're still furthering your education, which is a great thing. But what's your bigger vision, like after the well-being, or is it something after the well-being, or?
For me, for you, for us.
For you. Like I said, I know you're furthering your education.
Yeah, I'm working on a PhD.
Right.
Halfway through.
So once you do that, are you taking this well-being to a next level, or are you trying to get into something bigger?
I feel like I'm involved in big things.
You
I'm really fulfilled with
are.
work. I don't have aspirations to do, I don't think, anything. Well, of course I want to do big things. I want to win the Nobel Peace Prize.
Okay, I want to know your big vision.
I love that. No, but really,
that's great though.
Yeah,
I want to work at scale. I want to work. I love working locally, and I also want to do things globally. And so at scale is how I want to take my work. But I love helping people. I love empowering people to empower other people to make life better.
And I kind of figured that you're going to kind of stay in that space of like helping people that want to help other people, and I love that. Are you writing a book?
Not yet, but
you will.
Yeah, there's a book in me. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I figured it is.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that to come out.
Thanks.
And I do just want to give you a big bow. This class is. There's nothing like this. Whoever takes it, they will not regret it. It is amazing, life-changing, world-changing, community-changing. This needs to be implemented, like I said, in all schools, hopefully at least a little bit. And, it's wonderful, the work that you do. You are an incredible person, and I've just... Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. And I know that, we had to bring tissue boxes to class. I did, because, everybody was tearing up, and it's an emotional transformation. Really. I've seen just the difference in so many people, and, and they're still working on a lot of things, but they come in and they're just like, it really is. It pushes you. It, makes you get out of your comfort zone. You learn things you would have never thought of. It really gives you that. It really opens up a part of your brain, like gives you that access. Yes,
and your heart,
love it.
Hope, I
yes.
think that if we could bring humanity, my big vision is that we bring humanity back to humans.
Yes,
and wherever we do human things, which is everywhere.
Yes, like this. I don't believe in this whole AI thing that is just taking. Like, I had a bad experience yesterday with customer service with a company. I was dealing with customer service, and the AI was like, "I believe I answered your question, so I'm going to end this call right now." I was like, "You really didn't, though." Like, I don't think that was humanity. Like, if that was a real person, or if I was on the phone with somebody, because it was all on chat.
I mean, you'd
line.
be
I was like,
surprised.
well, I mean, yeah. But anyways, I love
Nothing
it.
takes the place of people.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, nothing takes the place of people. And I hope that as we continue to evolve technology, we remember that, and that there's restrictions in place to allow for healthy growth of human, not human, but of technology that can help us, right? But not hinder us. Yeah.
All right, but I'm so grateful for this course and this class. I want to thank the city of Palmdale. I'm so grateful that they allowed this. And I was talking to somebody. I was talking to somebody, and we was like, man, we would have loved to be in that meeting on who pitched it and like what was the conversation like. They got them to do it, but we're just so grateful that they did it.
Well, I actually talked to Nardi about that, and she said it was her predecessor, like whoever had her position before her, was kind of looking into that well-being thing, and so then she kind of took over and was like, we're gonna do it, we need it.
We definitely need it out here.
Talk about it. And I know we mentioned it in class about putting this on social media and talking about it more and letting people know, hey, you know, when you come out to the Antelope Valley, it's not just about, you know, what to do, it's people like this, you know, and have that heart, you know, and the compassion and caring individuals, you know. And I feel like when we're in this room, we're just like, wow, you could feel the energy, you can feel the love in all of us, and it's been an amazing experience.
And you know, the one thing that I love about this is that I never really had a support system, and I've gotten just an incredible support system now from this class, and even a couple of people from the first group, which is amazing. That's amazing to me.
Yeah,
like
that's the whole coalition idea,
right?
That
And I'm so grateful for it, because now I have people like Tanya, who, you know, when I was going through my struggle, she called me and checked on me all the time. Tanja, my accountability partner, she was constantly on me, calling me. You know, Jacqueline Diaz from the You Are Enough Foundation, she's just such a great friend of mine. I knew her before the class, so, you know, just her being in the class with me, like, our relationship gotten much better. Not that it was bad, but I guess it's stronger because of the course in the class. So just that support system I have now, it's like, it's priceless.
Yeah.
It's like amazing.
We need
you
each
did
other.
too. I don't want to minimize you, because you checked on me.
I'm part of the group.
No,
you know?
I mean, you checked on me. We had great conversations, so I definitely appreciate you and your words of wisdom during my little time.
Sure.
Oh, you almost had me today too.
What do you mean?
Like, so once in class you had me emotional where I had to walk out, and then you almost had me do it today.
Emote your
and almost
emotions.
right now.
Yeah.
Cry,
no.
you mean?
Yeah, because it was when you was talking about the writing our obituary. Like I don't think I could ever do that. Yeah, I don't think, and I thought you was gonna have us write that today, and I was really about to not walk out of class in a bad way, but I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to skip.
We
this
ran
part.
out of time.
Yeah.
You were saved by the bell. But it is a great intervention, right? To get people to think about the end. What do you want to be remembered for? What are the values you want to be known for? What's the essence you want to be remembered for?
Right.
And how are you gonna look back at your life? You know?
But even like yesterday when we did the tag thing, our backs,
Strength
the
spotting.
strength spotting. You know, I still haven't read mine.
Why not?
You had 2 pages.
Yeah.
But that's why, because I Jennifer and Monique was outside after we did it, and they had me in tears a little bit, because I honestly, like, I never think about myself, so when it's hard for me to accept those type of things. So when they was reading it on my back, I was like, she was like, "Oh, you want me to read it?" I was like, "No, I don't want to know," because it's hard for me to accept that. So I have them in my office at home, but I just haven't read them because.
Let's tell people what we did so they know. We a lot of positive psychology is about strengths and identifying strengths and seeing strengths in others. You know, it's so easy to even look at ourselves and spot the weaknesses before we see what's right with us. And so this exercise was several hours long. As we were going about the class, everyone had a sheet of labels, and they would kind of put on each other's back qualities that describe how we see them at their best. And at the end of the day, we had a reveal exercise where you, one by one, someone gave you a label off your back, and you ended up with 20 some labels.
It was actually 33.
33
Oh, wow.
labels. Yeah. So
I counted them, but I just didn't read them.
well, that's the part of it next
no.
is to metabolize those,
Yeah.
what people see in you.
No, I know, and I'm gonna do it either tonight or sometime this weekend. Like really, like take it in. But I couldn't do it yesterday because I would have been a wreck in class if I didn't do it. But I
Yeah,
want to
it is
do
Okay,
it.
it's okay to be a wreck.
No, I
Yeah.
know. But like I said, it's hard for me to because I'm the one that's always
And-
complimenting people, giving them, all that. So it's hard for me to do it because I really don't feel like I've done anything yet. Like my goal is so much bigger than what I've done so far, and I don't feel like I've made any type of dent. So even though I appreciate it, and honestly, yesterday when everybody was saying, Mike, you got so much stuff on your back, like I was really grateful because I really appreciate the love and support that this group has given me.
Yeah, and I feel like there's two parts to a compliment. It's one to hear it, but there's another one to really take it in and believe it. And I
Right.
think I messaged you a few days ago. I don't know if you remember, and I was like, Mike, do you compliment yourself?
You did, yeah. And what did I tell you?
No. And you know what? This has been kind of my thing, and it's an aha moment for me lately because I've been really taking it in. Like, am I even able to compliment myself? And I feel like I just started doing it for the first time in my life, and I've really been sharing it, and I've been implementing that in my work when I'm coaching and talking to people. And a lot of people are like, no, I don't. And it's really hard for them and they really struggle with it. And I feel like it is nice to hear it from somebody else. But first, you need to be able to accept and compliment yourself and believe it. And that's where I feel like there's a big struggle right now is like we don't take the time to be kind to ourselves.
Right.
And we have so many kind things to say to other people. So, maybe that'll help you too. Like you want people to believe what you're saying.
Right.
So try to take it in and believe it for yourself too. And I was talking about Jackie actually because we were talking about self-talk and that it's important, and especially with people that have suicidal thoughts and what do you say to yourself, what does that look like? So really one thing that I did with someone was I would say, okay, so what do you like about the things that you do, like in your day, like something small that you admire about yourself? So they'll say something like, oh well, I'm a really good listener. And so I'll be like, okay, so can you try saying I like that I'm a good listener? So they'll be like, okay. And it's a little bit awkward at first and it's uncomfortable. And they're like, okay. And then after they've said it a couple times, okay, now try saying, I love that I'm a good listener. And, it feels so good to take it in. And it really is practice and just saying it and taking it in. So,
Right.
yeah,
Practice that. That's good advice. I'm going to practice that.
let me know how it goes.
I will.
No time like the present.
Oh, challenge.
That's a challenge for this.
That's a challenge.
What's one thing you love about yourself?
That I'm very kind. I'm very fair, and that's actually one of my two of my character strengths. I do know that about myself. I actually was shocked that I saw that it was in my top 5 because I thought other things down below was going to be in my top 5, but I actually can see that now. I am very fair and I am very kind.
So can you say it?
I just said it.
Can you say
What do you want me to say?
I like
I like
that I'm
that I'm
fair
fair and kind.
and kind. Now can you say I love
I love
that I'm
that I'm
fair
fair
and kind?
and kind.
Now say it by yourself.
Both of them.
Which yeah.
I love that I am fair and kind.
I love that about you too.
Oh, thank you.
I love that too.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate both of you. See, I'm learning.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, I told you guys, hour and a half, 129.
Sweet.
Oh,
So yeah, I told you.
Time flies.
I know people are like, how long we gonna be? And I'm like, 45 minutes. They usually go an hour and a half. But thank you guys both, though, for real. Thank you, Louis, for bringing applied positive psychology to our city and to
Thank you so
Antelope Valley.
much.
It is definitely needed, and I can see the growth in it, and I can't wait for the more CAP classes so we can have more people out there spreading it. Because like you said, next group we're gonna have about 100, and then it's just gonna grow from there. And I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, and it's something that I use in my life daily, and I just want you to know the impact that it has on my family, my little baby girl, which is like my world. So what you're doing is just, it really, really is amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. You will never be paid enough.
Yes. I don't have.
Hopefully you will be.
Yeah. I don't have a check though. Forgive me. Any last words you want to leave with us?
Oh, just
Give us some wisdom.
I think we're always unfinished, that it's nice to be on this part of the journey with you both and here in Antelope Valley. And yeah, part of our big vision is that we have a coalition that's robust enough to handle all of the opportunities in this place to help people bloom where they're planted, as Haley would say, like let's continue to super bloom in this place and help people do that as well. Right. No time like the present.
Right. Absolutely. Yes.
Yes.
What about you, Miss Tanya?
I think I said enough.
Do you know Tanya was nervous?
No.
Really? Nobody can ever tell.
She said, Lewis makes me nervous. I was like, you're gonna be fine. Did she do great?
Lewis makes you nervous.
Well, you're you.
Yeah, you.
Thankfully.
I love that.
You did amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Because she said she wants to eventually do a podcast. So,
Did I? Everybody wants to do a
I know,
podcast for you.
Not true.
In your mind. No, I mean in his mind.
his mind.
No, but you did
he
tell
wants
me
everybody
that.
to do.
You-
Did I?
You did not tell me that.
I don't know.
You told me that. But anyway, so I told her, I said, well, just do it. I said, just jump on with me and Lewis today. Because now,
Oh, perfect timing.
now you know. Now you know. Now you can measure. Like, so
Oh,
once you do-
I remember. I said like I would like to do like my own something in the future, to build on, because
Right.
I really do want to get more involved in like social media and things like that. And you guys were saying like I didn't seem like I was nervous. I actually do have social anxiety, and I have to like write things down and really like think what I'm gonna say, and see my pencil and stuff. And I've been talking about it more with like kids and people that don't feel comfortable, opening up, speaking up, and so I don't know. I feel like I've really like pushed myself, and I took a Toastmasters, and just practicing really helps with that. And I feel like this class actually with the monthly challenges, and I remember like first reading off what we were going to be doing. So I didn't know it was actually going to be, we had our challenges already. So I was like, I have to think about new monthly challenges I'm going to do. So I signed up for Toastmasters, but I'm so glad that I did. And because it really, communication is so important, and just communicating with yourself too is really a big part of feeling well.
Right. Well, we thank you.
So
for that.
thank you guys.
No, thank you. And on that note, we are out of here. And thank you guys again. I appreciate you guys for your time and your well-being and your friendship
Peace.
And love.
and happiness. Be well, you guys.